Hey guys, it's Jordan from Tacoma Lifestyle. Today we are going to be showing you guys the installation of our all-new 3rd Gen Tacoma bed stiffener. It's going to be a pretty simple process. We're going to show you the tools that you'll need and just what to expect when installing these on your Tacoma and why you might want them. All right, so we are super excited to show you guys these things. We think they're pretty awesome. Now, there are a couple reasons why you might want a bed stiffener for your 3rd Gen Tacoma. Now, the 3rd Gen Tacoma has a composite bed, so it's not as strong as like a steel bed that you'd find on the 1st Gen Tacoma. And when you start adding things to your truck bed, like a roof rack, a rooftop tent, or shell, and start going off-roading, that bed will start to bow out. Now, this can make it difficult for your tailgate to close. It kind of just looks funky too if you're always paying attention to the look of your truck. So this is gonna help correct that and keep that bed angle at a 90-degree angle. Now, I run these on my 2nd Gen Tacoma, and I have loved having these on the truck. So I run a shell and a tent, a lot of weight, and when you're off-roading, that's just getting shaken side to side. This keeps my truck bed at that 90-degree angle, so my tailgate's always gonna shut as it should. And if I ever wanted to take that stuff off, my truck bed just doesn't look like bowed out. So we're gonna get these installed on this 3rd Gen Tacoma. The guy that owns this truck has some big plans for it. So we wanna make sure that he's ready to go when he decides to either do like a bed rack or a shell on his truck. So we're gonna jump right into this install by showing you what tools you'll need, and then we're gonna start getting these installed on this 3rd Gen Tacoma. All right, so the first thing we're gonna be doing is removing the taillights from the truck. The reason we're gonna do that is we're actually gonna be drilling into the truck bed, and we're gonna be bolting things down on the inside of the truck bed. So this will give us access to that. So we're gonna get these formed taillights removed. If you like these taillights, you can actually find them on our website, as well as a bunch of other taillights, but we're gonna get them out of the way for now. That way we can get access to the back of the truck. Now, how you're gonna remove these bolts, it's just with a wrench and a 10mm socket. It's super easy. There's gonna be one bolt at the top of the taillight, and there's gonna be one bolt on the bottom of the taillight. And then once you do that, you'll just be able to pull this right out, disconnect the taillight, and get it out of your way. All right, just like that, we've removed the formed taillight. You're gonna just unplug those 3 connections, and you can just set this somewhere in your garage while you're doing the install, and then we'll get this reinstalled once the bed stiffener is attached. Okay, so the next step of our installation process is there are gonna be 2 bolts on the bottom of the truck bed. There's gonna be a T40 bolt and then a T55 bolt. So go ahead and grab your Torx bit. We're gonna start on the T40 and then we'll move to the T55. Just be careful when you're removing these bolts, as they are pretty easy to strip, and then that becomes more of a pain to take it out. So we're gonna start with this T40 bolt, then we'll move to the T50 bolt. All right, so with our taillight out and the bed bolt and the tie down removed, we're good to go ahead and set this down in place. So I'm gonna set this over those 2 bolts. As you can see, there's 2 holes on the bottom of this right here. Then we're gonna put those bolts back in and drill. Now you can also do this to where you set this down and you do little punches to where you need to drill on the side of your bed, which is what I did on my last install. It doesn't really matter which way you do it, as long as you get those holes drilled so you can then bolt this to the bed of your truck. So the way we're gonna do it is we're gonna set this down, put it in place, get our bed bolt, start threading that. Then we're gonna get our tie down and start threading that, and then we'll be good. Once we tie these down, snug them, we'll be good to start drilling our holes inside of the bed for the rest of the hardware. At the end of the install, we'll come back here and we'll make sure that this is torqued to spec. This bolt is what holds part of your truck bed to your frame. So we'll make sure that's torqued to spec. This you can kind of tighten down as much as you'd like, but now we're good to start drilling our holes. All right, so now we're gonna start drilling. We have 3 holes on this side, 1, 2, 3, and then we have another hole on this side. So just gonna get this set in place and then start tightening down all the hardware we have for this kit. All right, so we just got done drilling all of our holes. We're now ready to install our hardware. So the way this is gonna go is starting on the outside, so your truck bed side. You're gonna insert this bolt, then it will be a washer, and then your nut. So this is gonna be a 9/16 wrench that you want for this, a 9/16 socket, and then a 7/32 Allen wrench as well. So got all of our tools, we got the hardware. We're gonna start getting this thing bolted down to the truck bed, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. All right, so the last thing we're gonna wanna do is torque down each of these bed bolts. It's gonna be 60 foot-pounds. After that, our bed stiffeners are installed. And the other side is gonna be the exact same as this passenger side. So just repeat all the steps and you'll be good to go on the driver's side as well. So this just adds a lot of peace of mind and kind of helps this guy set up for more intense installs in the future. So let's get these taillights installed real quick and the install will be finished. All right, so that's how you install the bed stiffeners on the 3rd Gen Tacoma. The exact same process applies for the 2nd Gen Tacoma. And now let's go ahead and move on to the 4th Gen Tacoma and show you how those bed stiffeners are installed. All right, so we got the 2nd and 3rd Gen bed stiffeners installed on the 3rd Gen Tacoma. Now we're gonna be switching to the 4th Gen Tacoma. So the bed stiffener itself is gonna be slightly different than the 3rd and the 2nd Gen Tacoma bed stiffener. It's gonna be a lot shorter at the base, and you're actually gonna only be drilling 3 holes instead of 4. So it's a little bit more simple in that aspect. The mounting is also going to be a little bit more different, where you would stick a bolt through each of those 4 holes on the 2nd and 3rd Gen Tacoma bed stiffener. On these, you're going to be putting a plate on the back side of this right by the tail light, and then you're going to be inserting that bolt into this plate. So in 3 different spots. It's just going to clamp the bed stiffener to the truck bed. So a little bit of a different mounting method, and you'll see why here once we take this tail light off. But the idea is the same. We're just stiffening up this composite bed. If you're trying to run a bed rack, a rooftop tent, or a shell on your 4th Gen Tacoma, this is going to keep that from bowing out and keep your tailgate easy to shut, easy to open, and not just kind of look wonky with it bowed out. So let's go ahead and jump into the install. We're gonna unpack the rest of our hardware, and then we're gonna start by taking out the taillight just like we did on the previous install. All right, so the first thing we're gonna wanna do is remove the stock taillight from the 4th Gen Tacoma. As you can see, Colby has aftermarket taillights from Alpharex, but the process is still gonna be the same. There's gonna be a 10mm bolt on the top of the taillight, 10mm bolt on the bottom of the taillight. I'm just gonna take this and get that loose so we can pop this taillight out. All right, so we just removed one of the taillights. We're going to remove the 2nd taillight, and then we're gonna move on to the next step of our install. We're going to remove this bed bolt right here and this tie down bolt right here. And that's gonna serve as holding down the base of our bed stiffener. That way we know where to drill those holes. And we're gonna go ahead and leave these spacers that were there in the same spot. They are gonna stay there when we put the bed stiffener in. All right, and now we're gonna remove those same 2 bolts on the other side, and then we'll be ready to install our bed stiffeners. Now we're ready to start installing our bed stiffener. So we're going to place this over the 2 holes that we just took those bolts out of. And this is gonna help us line up where we're gonna be drilling those 3 holes on the side of your truck bed. Now, like we said earlier, Colby already has those holes because he has already previously had bed stiffeners. But this is gonna be really simple for you guys, because once you have those 2 bottom holes lined up and those bolts put back in, you're gonna see exactly where you need to drill. We're gonna show you exactly where you're gonna be drilling. So if you have the mountain logo on this side and you just flip it over, these are gonna be where those base bolts are gonna go. That's your bed bolt, that's gonna be your tie down bolt. And then these 3 holes are where you're gonna be drilling. So you're gonna be drilling into the side of your truck bed. That way we can throw some bolts through here, and this is gonna hold your truck bed at a 90-degree angle and keep it from bowing out. And just for reference, this is the passenger side stiffener. So we are working on the passenger side of the vehicle right now, but the driver's side is gonna be the exact same. All right, so our bed stiffener is now in place. We're gonna throw our bed bolt right back here and our tie down bolt right here just to get it secured in place. All right, so we have the bottom 2 bolts on the bed stiffener installed. And once you have those installed, you can see those 3 holes that you're gonna drill. Like we said, again, Colby already has those holes, so we don't have to worry about that during this install, but that is where you would drill those. We are now going to get our mounting plate put together. So you're gonna get a bunch of hardware in the box. You're gonna get some hardware that looks like this and a plate that looks like this. You wanna make sure that you install it north to south, kind of like this. Once it looks like that, you're gonna install 3 on here, and then you'll be ready to throw this in the taillight side of your bed and start threading some bolts in, and we're gonna get this thing tight to the truck bed, and then we'll move on to the next side. All right, so the way this is gonna work is you're gonna take a bolt washer, and this is gonna go through the truck bed into this plate, and then you're just gonna screw that in. And then once you do that on all 3, you're gonna be able to tighten this down to the bed side of your truck, and then your bed stiffener is gonna be installed. After that, we do wanna make sure that that bed bolt is torqued down to 60 foot-pounds, which is the manufacturer spec, and then we can throw in our taillights, and then we'll be done. So on the 4th Gen Tacoma, it's a little tricky. You're gonna be putting this mounting plate through this metal hole in the side of the truck bed, and then once you have it through there, you're just gonna kind of line up this plate with your bolt and start threading it in. Once you get the first one threaded in, it's gonna be pretty easy to get the rest. The first one is kind of annoying though, but we're gonna just throw this in here and get it installed. All right, now we're gonna take our 7/32 Allen wrench. We're gonna tighten down those 3 bolts that we just put in. And since they have the plate on that backside, all you have to worry about is tightening them down with this Allen wrench. Once we get that done, we'll go ahead and torque that bed bolt down to 60 foot-pounds, and then the bed stiffener is installed. All right, grab my torque wrench. We're gonna go ahead and torque those bed bolts down to 60 foot-pounds. Once we do that, we're ready to throw our taillights back in, and then we'll be done with the install. Now we're gonna go ahead and get our taillights in. Once we have both taillights in, we will be done with the install. All right, now you've seen how to install our Tacoma Lifestyle Bed Stiffeners on both the 4th Gen Tacoma and the 2nd and 3rd Gen Tacoma. If you wanna pick some of these up for your own rig, maybe you're thinking about adding a rooftop tent or a roof rack, this is definitely something that you wanna be considering. We have them available on our website and at the link below. And if you wanna pick up any of the merch that I'm wearing, we also have that available on our website as well. Again, thanks again for watching, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.